on everyone, my name is Andy, welcome back to another FPL video. We're back to the team selection preview series for game week 27 and it feels good to be getting back to some normal content. This game week has been the game week that never ends and funnily enough it's not even ended at the time of recording this, but got to get this video out as normal on Tuesday. So doing it, recording it before the Chelsea-Man United match, and obviously we've got the big important Man City versus West Ham match as well. So I'll give you an update of how the team is looking right now and then how I'm looking ahead to Game Week 27 as well. But before we jump into that, the video has been sponsored once again by OneFootball. So if you haven't already checked it out, which I'm sure many of you have, it's completely free. There's a link in the description below, or you can just search OneFootball on the Android OS stores, or your lineup news, team news, football news, and live scores on the weekend when the matches are being played, which is great for FPL reasons. So make sure to give that a go. Link in the description below. Search for OneFootball on the Android OS stores. Otherwise, we'll jump into this video. So we'll start off with taking a look at Game Week 26. It's not been great. I did use my wild card. Obviously, having a captain blank with Salah has not helped at all. 47 points currently. Obviously, as you can see on screen, I've still got MAHREZ, who won't play until Wednesday when they play West Ham. Obviously, that game was postponed, so it's been a little bit later in the week, but it's still part of Game Week 26. So fingers crossed he starts and does pretty well. Obviously, as a non-Aguero and De Bruyne owner, it is going to be a little bit worrying watching them, but we'll see what happens. If MAHREZ can start, hopefully he can do the business. The overall rank has gone up a little bit so far this week, so it is a green arrow, 824,000, partly because of Son's heroics yesterday, where he got the 2 goals against Aston Villa. Even though he missed the penalty, he still got 13 points, so that was decent. And to be fair, Son is basically in my team instead of Kevin De Bruyne. It was one or the other. I did have the money for De Bruyne, but I decided to go for Son instead. So because he's already got 13 points on the board, obviously there's every chance that De Bruyne can beat that. And if he does, then so be it. But I'm pretty happy that I made that decision now. No blank in Game Week 28. And the fixtures are more or less as good as De Bruyne. And obviously he's a bit of a differential as well. So 824k rank, but that's almost certainly going to go down. Because we've got no Chelsea, no Man United players. And obviously Aguero and De Bruyne are not only heavily owned, but they're also quite well captained this week as well. So I think I'll be pretty lucky to come away with a green arrow this week. But we'll see how it goes, and hopefully then moving forward it looks good. In terms of the players that did anything, I mean, Firmino missed that great chance from a Trent Alexander-Arnold cross, which was hugely frustrating, especially because Salah blanked and Mane came on and scored. Ings delivered again. Yes, Southampton lost, but he still delivered. And Jimenez, although he didn't do anything against Leicester, I'm pretty happy-ish not to have Vardy at the moment. Obviously I got Firmino instead, but Jimenez could have got something. I think he was a bit unlucky in that game. Good few headers, which obviously not necessarily as good as taking normal shots, but he became very, very close to them and had a good few chances in the box itself. In terms of kind of Southampton, going back to not Ings but Stevens, yes, they conceded, which of course is frustrating. No points there. But he did have that header that hit the bar, and then was that assist chance where it was handball. Whether or not it was handball, you know, we can argue about that in the comments section. But on another day, that might have been given. So potentially he could have got an assist and a goal. It would have been a pretty big haul. So one of the key decisions I made with this team was not to go for double Liverpool defence. One of the reasons was that because it looks like there's a good few cheap defensive options, which of course probably not as attacking as Robertson might be, or even Van Dijk's goal threat, but for their cheap price they let me pump more money into the attack, whilst also letting me potentially get some clean sheets. So it didn't work with Stevens this week, but Bolly was on the bench. Had I made that change instead, I wouldn't have been so bothered about not having Robertson. So I'm going forward, I'm quite happy with that decision, but let's see how it looks for this week. So looking at goalkeepers and defenders first. Now I should say right from the start, I'm probably going to bench boost this week. Now I didn't wildcard specifically to be able to bench boost this week, but obviously because I was wildcarding early, it was something that I had to consider, and I could wait until the double game weeks, which is when a lot of you will save your bench boost, and that's what I would do in a normal season as well. I'm just not sure this team. I don't see how I get from this team in Game Week 27 to Game Week 34 or 37 when the big double game weeks will be, having enough transfers to not only change my first 11, deal with injuries, suspensions, whatever it might be, but also to get my bench in like good work and order. So I almost have to like take the hit that yes, it's not as good as a double game week, but it could be decent for a single game week. So McCarthy and Stevens are home to Aston Villa. Southampton defence has kind of regressed a little bit. It was doing really well for a while, at least in terms of underlying stats. Maybe not so good now. Conceded 2 to Burnley not too long ago. They conceded a bunch to Wolves as well. And obviously the big problem with Aston Villa is Grealish. He's looked really good pretty much all season, and as even if, you know, Aston Villa are kind of a weak team in attack, he is the one that can pull it together. He creates so many chances that even if the attackers aren't good enough to put too many of them away, obviously they only have to put one away, and McCarthy and Stevens lose their clean sheets. So it'll be interesting to see. Stevens got a bit of goal threat though, so I'm hoping that pays off. And then McNeil and Taylor have got Bournemouth at home. So Bournemouth and Aston Villa at home, I think, are 2 fixtures okay to target. Hoping for some attacking returns from McNeil. Same with Taylor, and also a clean sheet as well. So it's not the perfect bench. It's probably not what I would have been completely happy with at the start of the season. But given the state I'm in and the wild card and the money I had to spend, I think Taylor and Stevens are good value. Obviously, McCarthy was cheap as well. And McNeil I've put in specifically for this week, but eventually he'll be downgraded to put money elsewhere in the team. So I'm probably going to bench boost. So I'm obviously ultimately playing all the players this week. But Henderson in goal, Brighton at home looks decent. Brighton really struggling for goals. I think that's potentially a double clean sheet there for him and Egan. Now, I got Egan in last week and he got the assist. They really only got him in because of the goal threat. He does get quite a few chances in the box. But obviously ended up getting the assist for this one. But hoping that it's at least a double clean sheet there for Sheffield United. They've been so good all season. And I don't see why I would bet against them against Brighton. Trent Alexander-Arnold in. Obviously, I've already spoken about only having one Liverpool defender. I think I've got the best one. I think most people would agree on that. So West Ham at home, a good game. Obviously, we don't know what West Ham are going to do against Man City, but they'd have to play pretty well for me to suddenly think they're a team to be reckoned with, because they've been awful defensively. So plenty of chances for goals in that one. And then Willy Bolly was on the bench last week. I've promoted him to first or back into the first 11. I think even if you're bench boosting or not, I prefer to put the 11 that I would play in a normal week and not kind of fix the bench boost. You've got the likes of Trent, Salah and Ings or whatever on the bench. I like to play it properly, almost, so that I can see what how many points I got out of it. Obviously, there's no point in kind of trying to cheat the system, because it's not really a fair way of representing how many points your bench boost got. So Bolly definitely in against Norwich. Like I said, goal threat definitely for their clean sheets. Could definitely see that as well. Obviously, I thought Norwich played okay against Liverpool in an attacking sense, and they've probably done it well attacking wise all season, but I'm hoping that Wolves will be too strong there. So in midfield, still obviously got Salah. I think Mane is back now, and if you've got him instead of Salah or both, I think that looks really good. He looks like almost like a bit of a differential at the moment, but I've got Salah, pretty happy with that. Obviously got him for the game a couple of game weeks ago where he got the 2 goals and the big caps he scored. Nothing last week, but against West Ham, like I already said for Trent, unless they do something miraculous against City to make me think they're kind of a team to be reckoned with, I think Salah and co will do well there. Obviously with Liverpool, they're not necessarily going to score 4 or 5 goals every game, so if they only score 2 or 3, could be shared around quite a bit between Firmino, Mane, Salah, or even the kind of middle 3 midfielders as well. So you just never know, but I think on paper that looks like a great fixture. So it'll probably be Salah captain, but I have got my eye on Ings as well, which I'll talk about in a minute. Traore back in as well. Obviously didn't start the last game, had a bit of a knock, and obviously wasn't fit enough to start, but did come on. Obviously hoping that he carries on in that kind of right wing spot that he's had, rather than going back to right wing back. I don't think Doherty has done anything to kind of warrant that, but obviously Europa League's coming, so there might be some rotation. We'll have to wait and see, but Traore is a bit of an enabler anyway, so really happy to have him for this fixture. And like I said, Son is in there instead of De Bruyne now. De Bruyne might beat him against West Ham, and he does have Leicester away, which arguably might be a slightly better fixture than Chelsea away. We'll have to wait and see. I think Son had plenty of chances in the last game against Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa do give up a lot of chances. With Mings not there as well, that obviously doesn't help. But I think this is a pretty good fixture for Son. I think the fixtures are okay going forward. I've spoken about this numerous times now over the last week or two. There's not a huge amount of players, kind of big hitting players in good teams. They've also got a really nice run of fixtures that we don't already own, i.e. Liverpool players. So I'm pretty happy to have Son. Now, Mahrez is the one here. I don't really need to make a transfer this week. Obviously, I've just wildcarded, so you wouldn't want me, or I wouldn't want myself to be in a position where I'm having to wildcard again, but use a lot of transfers, having just wildcarded. Obviously, you get unlucky with injuries and suspensions, but generally you've picked a team, at least for the next few weeks, that should be good. So I don't need to make a transfer this week. But obviously I'm going to have to wait for that Wednesday game against West Ham and see if Mahrez starts or not. So if he doesn't start, I'm more confident that he plays against Leicester. And if he does, who knows? I mean, with Sterling out, there's obviously an extra spot on one of the wings. Bernardo Silva can play there. Mahrez can play there. Sané's back in training. I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon, but you never know. So Mahrez is an interesting one. He's kind of the one in my team which I'm not probably going to keep longer term. But like I said, I could keep him for Leicester. He's not really one that I'm kind of desperate to get rid of. But I could use a transfer there. I could go to Richarlison, who's got poor fixtures, but I'm not sure, given the form he's in and the defences he's coming up against, it might not be the worst time to bring him in. There's obviously Bruno Fernandes, who I had and then got rid of on wildcard. I think that Man United got Watford at home, so he could be an option as well. And I think, going to have to watch the Chelsea-Man United game, and obviously by the time you watch this, you'll have known what happened, so hopefully he doesn't get injured or anything like that. But I would imagine that Fred and Matic will play in the double pivot, and Bruno Fernandes will play in the number 10 spot, which he did start against Wolves in that position, but got moved back mainly because of Pereira. So that is a potential switch I wouldn't mind making. But there's not too many players around that price point, so I could just keep Mahrez, especially if I think he's going to play against Leicester. But he is the only kind of transfer that I'm really thinking of making this week. I think McNeil down the line will be the way that I get extra cash. Could downgrade him to someone like Hayden or Saka even at Arsenal, just to get a bit of money out of that. So he was 6 million, so I could get another 1.5 million to add to the 0.6 million to spend wherever I want. Maybe it's Mahrez to De Bruyne, maybe I'm upgrading Firmino to Aubameyang or whoever it might be. There's lots of options there. But I'm pretty happy with the midfield. Obviously, I've just wildcarded. Mahrez might go, but I'm just not sure right now if there's a player that's kind of really grabbing me that I want to, definitely bring in game week 27. And then with the forwards, I think pretty much at the moment, Jimenez and Ings kind of make up the template forward line. It's really those two plus one. Now, because I didn't go for the double Liverpool defence, I had an extra slot. Didn't want to spend the money on Mane necessarily, so I got Firmino in instead. And so I'm happy enough with him. Good fixtures coming up. Should have had a goal in the last game. Like I said, he missed that cross from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Was it 6 yards out or something like that? And kind of skied it over the bar. So pretty frustrating, but could have got his goal and hopefully get something against West Ham. But Ings and Jimenez definitely kind of template enough, I would say. Ings arguably could be captain this week. Now, it's one of those situations where you're just so confident in Salah. He's been in such good form, got penalties, etc., playing West Ham. So there's not really a reason to take it off Salah, which is probably why I won't. But I do think if I wanted to take an outside punt this week, it would be Jimenez against Norwich or Ings against Villa. And the thing with Villa is, it's not just Ings that's in form. And obviously, even if Southampton lose, he could still get points, as we saw last week against Burnley. It's just Aston Villa give up so many chances. It's not even like a new thing. They've been doing it all season. Yes, maybe Son got a bit lucky. Obviously, the rebound from the penalty and the defensive mistake kind of late on at almost last kick of the game. But he had other chances as well, as did Ali as well. So it could have been a kind of cricket score that game. And I don't think Southampton necessarily as good attacking as Spurs were. But it is Aston Villa at home. So I think if I really wanted a punt this week, which I'm probably not going to do, to be completely honest, but Ings versus Aston Villa at home would be a good option. I'm eyeing him up for West Ham away in game week 28 as well. But pretty happy with that. I think it's Ings, Jimenez plus one. I've gone Firmino. Obviously, a lot of people have got Jamie Vardy, who I think I would probably keep hold of, because if you've already got Ings and Jimenez, who else are you bringing in? You probably can't do Firmino because you've already got 3 Liverpool. And there isn't really another standout option right now unless you've got the money to maybe go to Aubameyang. But he blanks in game week 28. So there's lots to consider there, but I'm pretty happy with this forward line for now. One other transfer which I kind of spoke about on stream that I could do is Firmino down to a kind of 6.6 million forward, whoever that might be. So go for a real cheap forward line. And I could upgrade Mahrez to Mane and still have McNeil money to play with later on. And that would let me go for double attack, but with Salah and Mane. And then if I'm going to captain a Liverpool player, I probably would just captain Mane because he's lesser owned. And if essentially I'm betting then that Mane can outscore Salah and kind of pump me up the rankings. Now, obviously, that's not necessarily going to happen. There will be games where Salah outscoring, but if Mane could get an extra 20, 30 points before the end of the season, yes, that's quite a stretch. But if it could happen, then obviously that's a good 60 points if you're captaining the whole time. So that's an option as well. But there's no way I'm going to do that for a hit this week. It's just one thing to consider if I don't make the move for Mahrez to whoever it might be this week. So overall, pretty happy with this team. I think it looks good, as it should do after a wild card. Bench boost is probably on. Like I said, I could save it to a double game week, but I've literally got to game week 34. You've got like 7 or 8 transfers to get the bench in order, and also to fix any problems with the first 11 as well. So I just don't think I can wait that long, and I'm going to probably use it this week. So that's it for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Like I said, it's good to be properly back. There isn't too many more breaks now before the end of the season, so we can keep the content ticking along. If you are new around here, make sure to hit subscribe and click that notification bell so you know when all the videos are going up. And if you've got any comments about my team, the bench boost, the captaincy, is Ings worth a go ahead of Salah, etc., make sure to leave a comment below. And check out OneFootball if you haven't already. On the App Store or over on Android or iOS, just search OneFootball, or just click the link in the description below. It'll take you straight through it. It's completely free. You can give it a go and see what you think. Otherwise, I'll catch you tomorrow for the preview. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I'll see you soon.